Okay, so now we are recording and we're officially starting the party. Again, my name is Crystal. I am the director of the Center for Academic Success at Pierce College in Los Angeles. That's our tutoring center. And then I'm also a coordinator for the California Community Colleges Success Network, or 3CSN for short. That is a professional learning network that's funded out of the California Chancellor's Office for Community Colleges. And we are funded to just create these cool free workshops for folks all across California, but also across all places, including the West Coast, the whole nation, anybody who wants to join our party. And so my specific area of passion is learning assistance. And by learning assistance, we're talking about SI leaders, we're talking about tutors, we're talking about embedded tutors, we're talking about peer educators of all kinds, including coaches, mentors, anybody who provides that peer assistance, and any educator who's interested in good teaching and learning. So we take over the airwaves every Friday from 3 to 4:30, where we highlight a different educator who's in the world of peer education. And they just come and talk about sort of the best of their practices, a great training that they have, a good idea that they've come up with, a discussion that they want to run. It truly is a wonderful community of practice where we can all come together and share our strengths and our ideas together. So today I am super crazy, awesome, honored to welcome Jess Brooks, who helps out with, who runs now, right? Director now for the International Supplemental Instruction Center. So she is just an amazing, phenomenal mover and shaker in the world of peer education. And many of us consider supplemental instruction to be the mothership of peer education in its new iterated form, where we just have this deep, wonderful community of learners together. So we're so happy to have Jess here to talk to us about zombies and learning assistance. So take it away, Jess.
All righty. So I do have two humans on this. So you might be seeing my one that doesn't have my face on it show up if you are looking. So I'm going to make it really quickly like this so you can see my face talking and it lights up. There we go. Oh, I like the interpreter pointing. Okay, I'm going to not do that. I'm so sorry. This is very enjoyable though. Okay, so I apologize about that, but whenever I share my screen, my Wi-Fi wants to be a little wonky. And so I am on audio on my phone, and then I am present here with you visibly on my computer. And so thank you so much, Crystal, for the invite as well as the introduction. And so as she mentioned, my name is Jess Brooks, and I am the Executive Director of the International Center for Supplemental Instruction. And I'm doing something with y'all that I haven't done before in this capacity. So we're going to see how it goes. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us just acclimated to kind of what to expect with one another. Or from one another today and from the workshop as a whole. And then I do want to just ask a few questions to get a better idea. I saw some folks provide answers regarding if you're a tutor, SI leader, professional staff, what have you, just to get a better perspective on the folks that are here. And so the title of this is what zombies can teach us about the power of peer support. And so this is doing a zombie bridge riddle. And so if you all recognize this picture and or have done this riddle before, I'm going to need you to let me know that, because you're going to be my special, awesome helper for all time, because you cannot know the answer and help people because it's important that they have the experience. So hopefully no one has done this, but if you have, I will elicit your help. And so our objectives are going to, I have a lot of develop because that's what we're here for, professional development. So I know you all have an empathy for your students. That's why you're here on a Friday to get an exceptional experience in learning even deeper about what you're doing. So obviously you care for the students that you support, but you might have a hard time connecting to what it's like to be struggling in content, because it's been a long time since you maybe struggled through that content. And so we're going to create some experiences of uncomfortable learning, but we're going to see that we get to that point of understanding together, and thus see the power of peer support in that. But in the process, experience what it's like to be like, there's no answer, I have no idea. And so there's that piece of it, and then develop deeper understanding of the importance of varied perspectives that will come into play as we kind of break down the meta approach to what this riddle provides us, and then develop new strategies for effectively engaging a group of learners. And so that's going to come into the experience part of how we're going to interact with each other today. And so I am going to go on and talk about how we're going to do that. And so I want you all to be ready to be active. So this is going to be an active experience. I'm not going to just talk at you. It's just not what I do. I'm an SI leader at heart. I started as an SI leader, started as a peer supporter, and I haven't changed. And I want to make sure that you all have the opportunity to learn by doing. So it's going to be an active process. A part of that becomes being accountable when we're in those breakout rooms and we go to those spaces, that we're helping each other, and we're communicating with each other, and we're having time to conversate on the topic at hand, and we're coming back with the information that we're looking for in the main group discussion, just so we can all learn together. And a big one I want you all to be focusing on is going to be being reflective. And so a lot of the things that I'm going to be doing, and I won't really delve into what it is you're seeing. Some of you who are SI leaders who have been trained in some of SI methodology will recognize what I'm doing as we go throughout. But for the 4 to 4:30 time, we'll kind of dig deeper into what are those facilitation strategies I'm utilizing throughout our time together that is allowing for an effective environment of collaboration and engagement to happen today. And so that involves being reflective. So not just what we're talking about, but how we're talking about it. How are we engaging around it? And then giving yourself permission to explore new tools, interact using a chatbot, any of the documents that we're going to share. We are going to have time to discuss, but also to write down what we're taking away. It's okay to be confused. You're going to be confused. And there's awesome humans on tap that are going to be typing out responses and of things they can answer, or throwing questions to me in the chat. So feel free to throw questions in there if there's any confusion at all. And then make sure that we are having lots of grace and being kind to one another if there's any questions or any concerns. And also just this is a very meta activity. So I ask folks to just come ready, prepared to dig deep below the surface of what we're actually doing together. And so a little bit of how to interact with those. You have your chat. So that is going to be that little like dialogue box that's at the bottom that says chat. And so that's going to pop up that box and you'll be able to type in there. And then your raise hand feature, as well as any of those awesome like hearts and things. I hope that you'll have a heart, and you'll probably laugh at me a couple times, so that crying face may come in handy. And so there's that. And then we will go into breakout rooms. So when you are invited to join those breakout rooms, it'll pop up with a box. You'll have a number of a breakout room you join. You click join breakout room. That's right there. And then when we are in there, you can invite me as the host to come if there's any questions or concerns that you might have once you're in that breakout room, by just clicking that ask for help question mark, and that will have me come in there. So, and I can review that again before we do actually go into the breakout rooms. So that is kind of all of our logistics. So right now, what we're going to do is we are going to do a bridge riddle, zombie bridge riddle. And so how many of you, oh wait, let me unshare the screen. Hold on. I'm learning Zoom, not. Okay, really quickly, how many of you are just primarily work, I'm trying to get a gauge, primarily work with groups, or like groups of students, or with individual, more one-on-one base. So if you just throw in the chat, just group, individual as your primary focus, or if it's an equal amount of both, that would be helpful for me. All right, so it's looking like a pretty decent split. And a majority of this is going to be focused on group engagement, peer support, and group engagement. So your reflection components might be more on you as a personal learner in that environment, as opposed to a facilitator of the group experience. So just really coming to the table with how is this going to be beneficial to me. So SI is a group base. That's the experience, the expertise I'm bringing to this space, is that I run and direct the SI, the International Center for SI, which is based on peer facilitated group study sessions. So it is group based. However, everyone will be able to take away something from this experience, but I ask you to put yourself maybe more so in the student perspective as we kind of break down the meta elements of the activity that we're going to do together, as opposed to the facilitator of a group of understanding to a point of understanding. And so that's awesome. And does anybody know this riddle? When I pulled it up, you're like, I've seen that. I know that. And yes, Giselle, you would know it from our training. I'm glad you're intrigued, Mayfield. That's exciting. Awesome. So those folks that express that they do know it, can we keep them not in breakout rooms and have them just stay in the main room? Because I'm gonna give them some assignments and have them be my helpers during that part of the activity. You'll still get something from this because we'll dig deeper into it. But if you know the answer, I am going to ask you. I think it was Roman, Enrique, and Giselle who expressed that they did know it. So if we could just hold them back into this room, that would be really helpful. But we're not going to break out just yet. Yeah, you won't see it yet. I just wanted to check. It's a zombie bridge riddle. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, then you don't know what it is. Okay. All right, so we're going to watch this riddle. I'm going to ask that you take notes on whatever you can. You want to write down anything important that you think you would need to solve this riddle. Okay, that again, this is the active part. I told you right from the beginning, it's going to be an active environment. So write down anything you need in order to solve this riddle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, share sound. I forgot to hit share sound. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started now. So go ahead and make sure you're jotting down anything you think you would need in order to solve this. And I don't want you to stress, because we are going to, if it feels like it's going too fast, do not stress one bit, because we are going to come back together and make sure we have a cohesive list before you go and break out. But for you and your own edification, go ahead as you're going through, write down things that you personally, that stick out to you. Okay. And here we go.
Internship in a remote mountain lab. Pulling that lever just to see what it did. Now is not the best, because you need to get away from these fast. With you are the janitor and the old professor. You've got a head start. You need one way across an old rope bridge in a massive gorge. You can dash across in a minute, while the lab assistant takes 2 minutes. The janitor is a bit slow, needs 5 minutes, and the professor takes a whole 10 minutes, holding onto the ropes every step of the way. The professor's calculations, the zombies will catch up to you.
Hey, Jess. It sounds like the video on your end is glitching a little bit. Do you want to give me the link and I can try to put it up on my computer?
Yes, ma'am. I will do
All right.
that.
Cool.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Love it. Technology life.
Yeah.
Hashtag
There's the link.
Cool. All right.
Do not go look at the answer.
No looking at the answer, everybody.
Don't do it.
I'm the very picture of integrity. All right, so let me see if I can use it on my computer and see if this works a little bit better. So let me share my screen. I'll share my sound, optimize for video clip, share it, move these out of the way. All right, and then let me show my video panel. All right, so I'm going to start it, and then please give me a thumbs up if you can see/hear it. All right.
Taking that internship in a remote mountain lab might not have been the best idea. Pulling that lever with the skull symbol just to see what it did probably wasn't so smart.
Would you mind turning on the closed captions, please?
But now is not the time for regrets, because you need to get away from these mutant zombies fast. With you are the janitor, the lab assistant, and the old professor. You've gotten a head start, but there's only one way to safety. Across an old rope bridge spanning a massive gorge. You can dash across in a minute, while the lab assistant takes 2 minutes. The janitor is a bit slower and needs 5 minutes, and the professor takes a whole 10 minutes, holding onto the ropes every step of the way. By the professor's calculations, the zombies will catch up to you in just over 17 minutes. So you only have that much time to get everyone across and cut the ropes. Unfortunately, the bridge can only hold 2 people at a time. To make matters worse, it's so dark out that you can barely see, and the old lantern you grabbed on your way only illuminates a tiny area. Can you figure out a way to have everyone escape in time? Remember, no more than 2 people can cross the bridge together. Anyone crossing must either hold the lantern or stay right next to it, and any of you can safely wait in the dark on either side of the gorge. Most importantly, everyone must be safely across before the zombies arrive. Otherwise, the first zombie could step on the bridge while people are still on it. Finally, there are no tricks to use here. You can't swing across, use the bridge as a raft, or befriend the zombies.
You wanted to make a zombie friend. Yes, they said that that is against the rules. You cannot make friends with the zombie, Mayfield. And so, awesome. So we all got some information down. Before you start going at it and trying to solve it on your own, I just want to make sure that we all do indeed have the same information that we're working with. So I'm going to share in the chat a link to a Google Doc that we are going to utilize to solve this riddle. It should be accessible for you to edit. Yes, so that should, oh wait, I'm supposed to do this link. That might not be accessible for you to edit, but this next one definitely gonna be. Yeah, there you go. And so if someone wouldn't mind volunteering for me to be our scribe and share the screen, please, as we just make sure we're all working with the same information. Awesome, thank you. All right, so go ahead and if you could share the screen, and we're just going to have folks, provide us information that they took down from that riddle. This is what we call an SI, an incomplete outline. So I'm providing you as a facilitator an outline with some things that then we're going to use to fill in. Okay, so I see head nods. Yeah, that's correct. So if me and the lab assistant went over, it'd be a total of 2 minutes because we can only go as fast as the slowest person because of that lantern that Emily brought up earlier, right? So we have to have that lantern, and therefore that we have to go at the slowest person's pace. We cannot just mosey on along at our own speed. And then if we're going to go back to get other humans, we have to also take that lantern with us, and that's going to take the time. So if I go back, that's 1 additional minute. The 3 minutes that we heard referenced by Crystal. So great. I'm feeling pretty good with the list that you all came up with here, and we all have access to this list now. I want you all oh, my dog wants to play with the zombies too. Please sit. We're going to take a few minutes now, and I want you all to just try it on your own. Just give it a shot on your own. There's no need to worry. There's no need to try and figure it out. I mean, that's what I'm asking you to do, is try to figure it out, but don't stress if you don't figure it out on your own this first go round. There are many iterations of what we're going to do here. So I'm going to give you, I'm trying to see my timer here. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes here. Okay. 2 minutes, try it on your own. Liam thinks you got it. Okay. Liam, private chat me. Would you real quick, what your answer is? Reed. So the question for Reed, because Liam's going to private chat me saying that, letting me know what his response is, but I want to make sure we all have a learning experience. And so does everyone need, the question here for Reed is, does everyone need to be on the other side at the 17-minute mark or just off the side with the zombies? Do we remember that from the video? Does everybody need to be on the other side or just off the side? So Samuel says other side. On the other side. I think if I remember correctly from watching that video with you, there was like a specific instance where they had the zombies jump right there. Samuel shared, otherwise zombies step onto the bridge and everybody falls. So zombies, although dead humans, are humans, and there's only allowed to be 2 on the bridge at once. So beautifully illustrated again by Lindsay. Awesome. Thank you. All right, Liam. Liam did indeed get it, so he's going to become one of my new helpers as well. Awesome. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask for the breakout rooms to be open. So don't stress. I'm going to ask for the breakout rooms to be open, and I'm going to give you just a little hint and to go into those breakout rooms and have some conversation on what you tried. Okay. What were some things you tried? What didn't work? And then I'm going to also give you one hint as you go into that breakout room. So my hint is that me and the lab assistant go over first. That's my hint. So I just give you one little piece, and I'm going to now send you into breakout rooms, and you are going to discuss first what you did that didn't work. And then also, Phil saying it's rude, you can't befriend the zombies. Sorry, I do get distracted by the chat. I forgot I'm supposed to not do that. Are we ready to open the breakout rooms, excluding now Liam in this instance, or Liam just don't join the breakout room that you're going to, and then our 3 humans that said that they knew what the answer was?
Yes. How long are we going into breakout rooms?
We're gonna do just about 7 minutes, just 7 minutes. And again, my instructions are to discuss what you tried and didn't work, and then remember my tip being that it is me and then the lab assistant go over first. Okay. All right, so go ahead, open the breakout rooms. Those of you who know the answer, please come. All right, so I know we got pulled back maybe quicker than we were ready to come back, but I do have a time frame that I got to get, and I want to discuss why I have you doing this for the purposes of peer education and not just for fun zombie riddles on a Friday afternoon. And so I know one room got it, felt comfortable, and they got it. Did another room feel they got it?
Yeah, we got
Lindsay's
it.
excited. Preston's excited. Very good. I think I have to go with Lindsay just for the sheer excitement and joy on your face. Can you please explain to us what you believe the answer to be? And I want you all listening carefully, because whether you got it or didn't get it, we want to just make sure that we can affirm whether we feel Lindsay's answer is indeed accurate or not.
Yeah, so I got it in the last 20 seconds of that breakout room. So so you said me, the universal me, and the assistant go across first, right? That's 2 minutes. You run back, that's 1 minute. So you're at 3 minutes. You give the lantern to the professor and the janitor, and they go over together, and that's 10 minutes. They hand the lantern over to the assistant, who takes 2 minutes to come back, and then it's 2 minutes, you 2 minutes back. That was the idea. I don't know, that's 17 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 17 minutes. It works.
I'm hearing. I saw Lindsay and go, "Whoa, mind blown! What? You passed the lantern?" Okay. All right. So we're seeing some applause. Who has a different answer? Ariella, go ahead.
For some reason, I thought there would be only one correct way to get this done, but this is so exciting. If I can remember it, I'll say it because I didn't write it down. But the self and lab assistant go over together, and then the lab assistant comes back, and then the janitor and is this what Lindsay said?
Almost, there is indeed 2 answers. It's not exactly what she said. You're correct.
The janitor and professor then will go over together, and then the self will go back and come back with the lab assistant. That is different, right? Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. And so we are going to hear it one more time from somebody who thought they would never get the answer, but now sort of understand it. And they just want to be real brave and say, I understood my friend Lindsay or my friend Ariel. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna ask someone again to scribe. Emily looks like she unvideoed. Emily, did you want to walk us through?
Oh, I thought I was just going to say that I understood.
You did? You understood? No, wait, hold on. It's good. I trust that you understand. I'm validating that. And so what we're going to do is, if I could have someone share the screen again, our scribe from last time, if you could share the screen and go to the second slide. And so we just want to be able to visualize this and also hear it from a different perspective. Okay. So, oh, we had some people trying it over there. So if you could delete that, the black letters there. Yeah, there you go. And you can actually leave those white ones that you saw there. Perfect. Yep. And so what we're going to do is we are going to visualize the answer that we just got. Okay. And so go ahead, Emily, if you can at least think we got the first step of what we believe we heard.
Well, I remember that you told us the lab assistant and I go over first.
You can just leave that and we'll just write in white.
Okay, I was like, I don't know where this is and I can't get it.
It's okay.
What was the, okay.
Emily, one more time.
So the lab assistant and I go over.
I'm gonna help you out here too. So that takes 2 minutes. And then what do we do?
Could somebody help me with this? Because
Yeah.
I know that there was like an exchange of lanterns, but I don't remember exactly when it happened.
Who can help out Emily?
Well, there's two options. We have to make sure that the two extreme pairs go together, which you did. Somehow at some point, oh, and the other trick is we have to send the fastest person back, or one of the fastest people back to return. So at this point, you could either send back the lab assistant or myself. And as long as the next pair is the other extreme, the 5 and 10 minute people, you send back the 1 minuter. That would do it.
Okay, so we're sending back a 1 minute person. FYI,
Yeah,
this is easier in person than it is online, in case you were wondering.
I mean, yeah, so that's one of the solutions, is to send the 1 minute person back right away. That would be me. Or the other solution would be to send the lab assistant back. And it's really the same idea. You send the shortest time, one of the shortest times back, so that the two longest can go together.
All right, I'm gonna get there, y'all. Oh, okay, I got it. I just want it to be white. That's all I wanted.
Well,
Don't
lab
know why I
assistant
went with a black slide. All right,
lab
so if we
assistant-
send the lab assistant back, as we just heard, was that you? Because I have
Oh,
the
that's
screen
me.
up now, so
Yeah,
that
lab
was you?
assistant.
Okay, good. I'm
Yeah, you
glad I
can
know the
send-
sound of your voice, Preston. That makes me very happy.
You can either
Um,
send yourself back or the lab assistant back at this point.
Okay,
So we've got
we
this.
sent
Let's
the
write
lab
this solution.
assistant back, and so what can we do now?
Now you have to have the, should still be me. Maybe I should let other people talk. I'll just be quiet.
Giselle, how about, what do you say is next?
So is the lab assistant now on the other side with the lantern?
Yep, they moved, they've got the 2 minutes there.
Cool. So now let's give the lantern to the janitor and the professor and let them cross.
So we're gonna pass the lantern over to the janitor and the professor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so how long did that take?
Is that going to be 10 minutes for them to cross? The time of the slowest? Oh, wait. Is this the second step?
That's the third step.
That's the
You
third
did
one.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
That'll work.
before that, there should have been. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
So we have 2 minutes here. We have the LA went back for 2 minutes. So we're at 14. And then we have our janitor and professor, which we just heard from Giselle, is 10 minutes. So now what do? Do we send the professor back?
Send me back.
Me back.
Ah, so we're gonna send me back because me's still over there. All right. And so how long does it take me to do it?
1 whole minute.
A whole minute? So fast. Okay. And then what do? Who's still over here?
So there's me and the lab assistant. That's the other 2 minutes.
All right. And so we go back to the other 2 minutes. Our first step is indeed our last step again. And then we have our 2 minutes. And so we add that up and we get 2 is 4, and 10 is 14. Did I do it right? Yes. And then 3 is 17. Math is not as hard as I want to make it. Okay, so it's a lot easier to do that in person. Peter, thank you for your wow. I'm glad. I hope that means your mind was semi blown, despite the fact that that was a little bit clunkier than one would have expected it to be. And so it's really empowering to do this with students or leaders when you have them in a room, because you can actually get them up and have each person play a part. And so you get that kinesthetic going. And so if you can stop the screen now for our last portion, I want to talk about some of those outcomes. So none of my outcomes said we would be able to, none of my outcomes were have fun with zombies. I mean, that is one of them. But really our outcomes were as I described them, and what I should be needing through this experience was develop deeper empathy for students, develop understanding of the importance of varied perspectives, and develop new strategies for effectively engaging a group of learners. So this is where that meta part comes in and how we're gonna kind of break this down. So how many of you, and there was at least one person that messaged me a thought that they thought they had it, but it wasn't the right answer. But how many of you have been working in a class and you were like, I were so confident that you had an answer and it wasn't necessarily the exact right answer. So maybe you wanted to try a trick, let's say. Right? So you thought you figured out a quicker or an easier way. I feel like it's really dark in here. I'm going to turn on the light because the light changed. We didn't have too many people try, but half the time we hear people, I want to sacrifice the professor. It didn't say everybody had to revise, literally. And usually it's faculty member that say that. And so people want to try these things that they think work. I got one in the in a private chat that was have somebody go halfway or carry somebody on their shoulders. So all these ideas that if these students were doing it on their own and not in a collaborative effort by a peer who's been there and knows what the professor wants in an answer, they would have thought they got that right. But then they plug it into their homework or they do it on an exam and it's not right because they didn't want to trick for the answer. Right. And so the benefit of having peers that have been there and can kind of speak to that experience is highlighted in that. And then it's been a long time since probably your content areas have been difficult for you. And so this levels that playing ground. When we do this as a training for any of you who are professional staff members here, when we do this as a training for leaders, it's a way to try and level the playing ground where we're not talking about calculus when they are exceptional at calculus, which is why they're tutoring it. We're talking to them about zombies, but we're getting them to a place where they're like, I have no idea, I don't understand. And getting them to a point of being excited again, right? Lindsay was so excited, looking at her being so excited that she had that answer. And it's not old hat, right? So another reason to do this is to connect with the students. A lot of them feel like it's a zombie bridge riddle. It might be something that you really understand well, but that's you, that's not them. And so really recognizing that that idea and becoming empathetic with that stance of feeling like there's no right answer or that you can't figure it out. So there's that piece of it. Another reason I like to do this activity is people do often say, stupid professor, he's so slow, what are we gonna do? Or they wanna sacrifice him. Did the professor do anything? Did the professor help in any way?
Yeah, he figured out how to get across, didn't he?
The time he figured out when the zombies would catch up to them. He saved them.
Yeah, he figured out the 17 minutes. Without him, they probably, I mean, this is very dramatic for a Friday afternoon Zoom call, but they would have all died without him because they might have just been hanging out thinking they're all cool because they're not in the building anymore. But they would all walk off the thing with wisdom and sacrifice. And so the idea behind it is not all students contribute in the same way, right? Not all students contribute in the same way. So some people might be super fast and you might be able to visibly see their speed, right? Like that me person, I can see it. You visibly see it. But some people, it's those small interactions. It's the things they do in pairs and partners. And so that intentionality of needing to walk around and be able to of needing to walk around and see what's going on. If you are working in groups, see what's going on with the individual pairs you have working together, and realizing that not everybody's going to contribute in the same way, but it doesn't mean they're not contributing. So he might have been the slower one when it came to crossing the bridge, but without him and the feedback he was providing, they wouldn't have been able to do it. And so really bringing that piece together of not everybody contributes in the same way, it doesn't mean they're not contributing. So that's that piece of understanding the importance of varied perspectives within SI sessions and varied personalities, because it's going to be important. SI sessions or group tutoring. And then additionally, understanding how to interact with groups or how different ways of working with groups to engage. What did I say? Outcome. I'm going to read it. New strategies for effectively engaging a group of learners. So this one is an important one. And this is one that even if you work with individuals, this is a helpful piece to be considering. So how many of you wanted to use that 1 minute person? That was like me. That was the first thing you did. I'm going to make me, and they're going to just they're going to do everything. They're going to take that 1 minute, they're going to do all of that. How many? Hands up. Every one of you did it. Every one of you did it. That's what we do. We think that that's the way you have to do it. The fastest person has to be the one to make it happen. And so in this instance, the tutor, the lab is like, in this instance, the tutor, the SI leader, you're the fastest person in the room, but it couldn't be you that made everybody understand, that made everybody get across to safety. We had to actually bring together the two slowest people in order for everyone to get across. So this talks about the importance of connecting people and partnering up and not just going, oh, you're the smartest person. Let me have you talk to this person who's really struggling. Because guess what? They might not be speaking the same language. They might not be speaking the same language. And sometimes you need to find someone that's more on your level. So if you work more with individuals, you find yourself at a point of not understanding, it's not maybe about going and finding the smartest person. It's about finding somebody that's also struggling and working through it together. And so there's, again, that piece of how you engage your students in a group setting, that it's not just about, oh, you understand this, talk to this person who doesn't. It's not that simple. You really have to be paying attention. Who's on a similar level? Who can communicate? If you have a level 5 understanding, maybe pairing them with a level 7 understanding and kind of paying attention to that. But the work you do is hard. That's not an easy thing to do. So I am going to talk about how we can do this a little bit more effectively in the next part, or have conversations about how can we do this effectively in group settings. Yes, because we have a chat. We're going to continue on because it's an hour and then we cut off for the last half hour. But that's my whole thing. We figured it out, and you didn't die from zombies. And Lindsay was super excited. It made me very happy. That's what I took away from it. And so again, just that idea of peer education being so impactful, because it wouldn't be possible without those that are more in line with one another and having that peer support. So that is the overarching principle of the whole thing. And so now I want to talk about what were some things you noticed about the facilitation of the actual activity. So we were doing, we did the riddle, we have the answer, we understand the meta behind why we did that riddle. But what were some of the things you noticed that I did to engage you? Because you'll notice that although I know this and I have done this many, many, many a times, I'm the me in this situation, the fastest. I didn't tell you the answer. You all got to it. So what were some of the things I did? I see scaffolding, I see the hint. What were some other things you noticed? Everyone should apply to facilitate one of these, by the way. They're fun. So I heard some things, including wait time. Yep, assigned facilitators go in the room. And so wait time is what we call a facilitation strategy. There was also an opportunity in the chat for me to answer a question from Liam, actually, I believe, asked a question at some point, and maybe it wasn't Liam, he might have answered it, but there was a question asked, and did I answer the question? When the question was posed, hey, can't we do X, Y, Z? I can't even remember what it was. It was something, I can't remember. But But you guys got it. I redirected. So I can tell the SI leaders in the room. I redirected the question, right? So I did not answer that question. I read the question and I redirected it to the group, and then someone jumped in and answered the question in relationship to, it was when we were doing the activity of the structuring the strategies or the times and all of that. My dogs are going crazy. They're like, it is dinner time. And so if you can hear them, I apologize. And so, yeah, we redirected wait time, and then just to make sure everybody was indeed understanding what was going on, we had final check for understanding and multiple explanations being provided, as well as we had the visualization, although that did not go the way that I wanted that to go at all, but that's okay. You all still got to a point of understanding. It's so much more fun in person. But it worked. So you saw it visibly, we had folks jot it down visibly, we had folks walk through it. And so those are just some different ways of checking for understanding. So redirecting questions, wait time, and checking for understanding. If you don't know those words, those are pinnacle SI terms in relationship to what we call facilitation strategies. And that is how we expect SI leaders to interact with students in an SI session. How we expect a leader to interact with learners within a space in which they're guiding the learning, they're facilitating that time. And so if they're asked a question, we expect them to redirect it back to the group, back to that person, or back to a source material, because that is going to be something that's going to generate independent learners that they can then remember that when they're studying at home on their own and they don't have the leader there, they'll remember, oh, they redirected us to that whatchamacallit. So I'm going to go look at that, YouTube video that they redirected us to, or what have you. And then Crystal shared in there, make sure we all knew the facts before we moved on. Yeah. So just doing something like an incomplete outline is a way to set the table for students to know that there's important information they should have gathered or should have brought from class, and saying, okay, so here's what we need. What do you have that can get you to a point of getting to a place to start this problem? So do you have this formula sheet? Do you have these things? And so that's what we call a learning strategy. It's how you're getting them to engage in the content. And so I'm going to talk through this with a actually pretty visual here in a minute. And then finally, we heard Dina mention that I broke you up into clusters or groups. And so that's what we call a collaborative learning technique. It's how I get you all to engage with one another. Otherwise, it would be just like this, me talking the entirety of the time. And so those three things are all integral parts of every SI session: facilitation strategies, learning strategies, and collaborative learning techniques. And I'm going to show a visual that kind of talks through this, and I will send this visual as well, Crystal, if we can get it out to folks. Where is my picture? It's somewhere real safe, I'm sure. Formula, there it is. I just made it prettier than what we had previously, because again, I'm working on my updating my materials. Oh, that was a Crystal conversation, never mind. And so we took away the SI leader. We're trying to take SI beyond just SI and really be able to help. And so in any setting, there's leaders and there's learners. And so that's why we have this. And this is really what we would call the formula for effective group facilitation. And so you have how the leader interacts with the learners. Okay, how the leader is interacting with those learners. Those are your facilitation strategies. And that is going to be your redirecting, your wait time. So allowing a clear amount of a space of time for everybody to think about not only the questions being asked, but also the answers being provided. So when someone would give an answer, I didn't just jump in and say, yep, that's right. I said, do we agree with what Crystal said? So that everybody had time to indeed process what was being said and think about it. And then checking for understanding to really make sure that they do indeed understand everything that's going on. And then learners to learners, a crucial part of SI, and that's called your collaborative learning techniques. So that is how you're getting the students to engage with each other. So that could be a think, pair, share, right? Who knows what a think, pair, share is? Who could tell me what that is? Mayfield.
Hey, think pair share is an activity where you pair students up. Well, no. You give them like a prompt. You have them reflect on it for like a certain amount of time. You pair them up with someone so they can kind of share with one another to their comfort. And then there's like a share portion at the very end where you share it as a group.
Thank you. So we aptly named it think, pair, and share. So they have time to think, they pair up, and then they share it out. And so again, it's setting parameters on how they're interacting with each other. You could also do clusters in which you break up and you talk in smaller groups. You can do pairs and have them just start off talking in a pair right away. And so all of these are going to change how the interaction happens in the session and see what activity, the outcome the activity yields. So if I had, for instance, just had you jump right into those groups without time to really think and process on your own, it probably would have been a much different outcome in those group times than it was when we came back. So I don't know if Lindsay would have gotten to that point of understanding had she not have had time to process on her own first the things that didn't work, and then in the group had those conversations and those hints provided. And then finally, how we get the students to engage in the material. And this is a big piece about SI, is the material and the learner is going to be those learning strategies. And so one piece about SI that's different than tutoring is that it is proactive. It's a proactive approach to your academic support. And so SI leaders plan their sessions. And so they can plan, I knew that we would be doing an incomplete outline. And so with that, I knew that I was going to get you all to be giving me that information in that fashion. So that way we could construct a list of that. And so at that point, we could then move on and then solve the problem. And so that is an example of a learning strategy of an incomplete outline. Other ones are Venn diagrams or think aloud or verbal volleyball. There's a lot of just different amazing strategies out there that students come up with that I'm happy to share any of our information that we sell through the International Center if you would like to see pieces of that. But really, that's the main thing I wanted to hit on is not only the riddle itself, and I didn't know how long it would take me to talk through those pieces. So I want to kind of get your all's opinion on effective facilitation, or even ask some questions. What are some pitfalls you run into with trying to do things with putting the onus and the learning on the student? Because that's the whole goal. Like they have to be doing the work, and oftentimes it's hard for us to resist that urge to step in to be the me and run them across the bridge, but we know that that's not going to work. So how are ways that we're preventing that, and we are indeed engaging ourselves in a way that they are doing the work in our sessions, whether it's individual or group? Like, what are some things that you've done to effectively get students to do the work within your sessions, or where are some of the pitfalls you've had, and what are some advice you're seeking? Just open conversation time. Mayfield.
Yeah, so when I was an SI leader, actually facilitating sessions, I had a couple of different things that I had to do, because I can also fall into the trap of talking forever. And so I made sure that I had like clear objectives, as clear as I could make them, already in my session plan, where I have like a little script